Hi, this is Verma with Compass Real Estate, and today we're going to be talking about top 5 mistakes to avoid as a buyer. So, I deal with a lot of people who are looking to buy either first time or looking to buy something bigger or looking to downsize, sell something and downsize and buy something smaller. And I come across people who, buyers and my clients that have a lot of the questions in their minds. And I want to make sure that I address those questions for you today and help you avoid any mistakes so that you can make good decisions, good buying decisions going forward. So number one, this has been a real challenge for a lot of people, and it's very natural. And the number one thing that I would like to advise is to stop trying to time the market. Trying to time the market perfectly to figure out, all right, I'm going to try to buy maybe after 2 months when the market is really at the lowest. There is no guarantee what the market is going to do. Even I don't know exactly what it's going to, how the market is going to be, maybe 2 or 5 or 6 months out or even a year out. There is no guarantee, and I don't think anybody can really predict accurately exactly what it's going to happen. So instead of trying to time the market exactly, here's what you should look at. And if you look at historically, if you're looking to buy and invest in real estate, if you look at historically, prices have always continued to rise historically from, when you can look at the data from when we started having data in 1930s, 40s, prices have continuously risen, and we are continuing to see prices, rising, even though it's gradually. And that's what you should keep in mind. If you're looking to invest in real estate, look at a little bit of a longer perspective. Don't try to just time the market for maybe 1 year or 2 years. You want to at least invest for 4 or 5 years minimum and not have to worry about what's going to happen in the market, in the next 6 months or 1 year. So that's number one, is to stop trying to time the market and take advantage of what we have currently. We have really great interest rates, historically really low. It's still in the 3s and 4%. So, take advantage of that. And if you are looking to buy a house, consider that, a small shift in the interest rates, it's going to decrease your ability to buy so much less of the house, of the price. So that's going to be impacting much more than a slight price change. So keep that in mind. A lot of people forget about the interest rates and they just focus on what the pricing is doing or the average price per square foot of the houses. So that's number one, is the timing. Don't try to time the market. The second thing that I want to focus on is, a lot of people get so caught up with finding the best and the most ideal home, and they try to look for a unicorn, and they want to really spend a lot of time. And they sometimes they keep on looking for months and months, and they don't find exactly what they want because they're trying to get 100% of all the requirements. I'm not saying that you may not find it, but just keep in mind that your requirements will change over time. So what you're thinking is 100% right now, after 2-3 years that might change again too. So instead of trying to focus so much on that 100% and getting that perfect house, just make a list of all the important things that you really want in a house. And even if you can get 75 to 80% of those important things, then I would say you should seriously consider it. Because the reality is, most people, they move after every 5 to 8 years. So this may be a perfect house right now, but whatever you buy, but after a few years, your family is going to change. The family structure might change, kids grow up, things happen, and you want to keep that in mind that, you will be probably, moving to another house. This may not be the only house that you live in for the rest of your life. If you want to, that's great. But I'm just saying that don't try to look for the most ideal house keep in mind that it's okay to not have that perfect house as long as it meets 75 to 80% of your criteria. So that's number 2. So number 3, I would say, is when you're looking at a lot of the buyers in the market, when they're looking at houses, they always look at the pricing that is indicated by Zillow or Redfin and all these different websites that try to give you an estimate of the price based on an algorithm, right? I mean, they are not really going out and looking at houses out there personally, and I just feel like those numbers that are there on those websites, they are not very accurate. Yes, you can use them as a little bit of a guideline, but what's going to be really more accurate is having a CMA, comparative market analysis done for each particular property, comparing what has sold and getting really very detailed, accurate information as to the price per square foot and what has sold in the last few months, so that you're not relying on those numbers to come up with whether that price is affordable for you or not, whether we should put an offer or not. So don't rely on those numbers. So that's number 3, is don't rely on the numbers that you have in these different websites that basically use algorithms to come up with that. Number 4, and this is probably more so for first-time home buyers, is I see a lot of people who try to go shopping for homes before they have gone through the pre-approval process. And yes, it's great to go out and start looking, but I would say before you start looking, it's always a great idea to get the financing thing in place. You want to know exactly what is the range of the price that you can afford. Don't necessarily have to go there, but it's always good to know what is that price range that you can afford. And once you have that number, then it's much your time is much well spent. And you'd be surprised, you may think that, oh, I went on this website and I did this my calculations, and I can afford this much payments and this and that. Guys, just talk to your local bank, talk to any lender. It doesn't take that much time. It just takes maybe a few minutes for them to go out there, run the numbers, and they can give you, most of the lenders that I work with, they have a quick turnaround time. Within a couple of hours, they'll give you, all the details of what you qualify for based on your income, the savings that you have so far, and if you're selling a house, then obviously look at that as well. So I would say keep that in mind before you start looking for your new house, whether you're upgrading, downsizing, or buying a new home. Just get the financing component in place. Talk to the lenders and get at least 2-3 people that you can get quotes from, and then go out there and then start shopping. So that is really, really important. Keep that in mind. And if you're looking to sell something and buy something else, there are a lot of different options where you can actually get a bridge loan as well. And I work with different lenders that can provide those solutions for you. So if you want to buy something before you sell it, then we have those options available. And in Compass we have a program which kind of defers any interest that you have to pay while you buy the new house and get the bridge loan and sell. So we have all those programs. I can provide you more detail if you like to get that information. So number 5, and this one is really more so, I think it's kind of started happening in the last few years, I see, where people sometimes feel that they're going to get a better deal by trying to put the offer with the listing agent. And it's really not a good idea to, first of all, try to have representation from the seller's agent, because the listing agent has his fiduciary duty towards the seller. And yes, in California we do have representation from both sides. It's totally legal, but it's in your best interest to get somebody that will help you negotiate and get you the lowest possible price if you're on the buying side, right? My biggest thing that I do for my clients is try to get them the lowest possible price when they're buying. I really negotiate hard and make sure that we get you the best possible price, the best deal possible. And obviously on the selling side, I'm really negotiating hard for my sellers to get them the highest possible price. So that's how my skill is in the negotiations and trying to get you the best deal possible in any scenario. So, so that's something to keep in mind. Number 5 is, if you are looking at houses by yourself, and if you come across a house that you like, sometimes they feel that, oh my gosh, if I just talk to the listing agent and maybe they'll cut the commission and maybe I'll get the house at a little bit lower price. Guys, don't do that. Just keep in mind that the listing agent is always going to have their fiduciary duty first towards the seller. So you want to get your own representation, get somebody who's going to really fight hard for you and negotiate, so that this is going to be one of your biggest investments, right? So make sure you have proper representation and you get a really good real estate professional that will look out for you and negotiate really hard for you. So those are the top five. If you have any questions, feel free to reach me. I would love to help you in any way I can. And again, my name is Brad Verma. I'm with Compass.